Last week, Starship had its third launch from Boca Chica that was significantly more successful than its predecessor. An FAA commented on, a mishap occurred during the SpaceX Starship OFT-3 mission that launched from Boca Chica, Texas on March 14. The mishap involved both the Super Heavy booster and the Starship vehicle. The FAA will oversee the SpaceX-led mishap investigation. I hope it won't take too long this time, as the company already has a backlog of prototypes waiting to be tested. And Elon Musk said we should expect to see at least 6 launches this year, which is, I thought, too much from the past experience. Well, but before the next launch, we have to understand majorly about these Starship launches evolution and have to compare with each other for predicting the details of Starship in future. So just follow me, like my video, and subscribe my channel. This will be a little bit different reviews from others. If you see in this series of launches and evolution of it, if you see with your dedication and try to build a logic, then it could also feel emotion in you. And they were very step by step improving like a movies, defeating villains in real life, and at the end happiness spreading everywhere. If you see from the first launch, we were seeing that they were took off and the things went very bad. It's a disaster. 3-engine failure, flat out. The moment they launched it, it had failure, and more engines started to fail. If you watch multiple streams, multiple people were streaming from multiple cameras angles, one engine going blast, another going boom. Literally multiple engine failure did happen at that time as it's trying to go up. So this was the reality, but it kept going up because of rest of 70% of the engines. So it had so much redundancy. If an engine failure detected, it can throttle up other engine to compensate before it reach a point when it's like, bro, I can do anything. And then next problem occur. What? Once it's pushed through max Q and it triggered a main engine cutoff, so it went bad at that point in time. It's like the same main engine cut off, but engines are still working. That should not happen. I mean, for the stage separation, we need here all of the engine turn off from the booster side for not pressurizing, and that's my specified. Turning that many engine on, it's a hassle. Turning them off, it's another hassle. And engine didn't turn off, the booster didn't separate, and it's lost control. It stumbled in air, and then SpaceX initiated command to getting boom for safety reason. And look that time, after the 4 minutes of launch, it used to look so hopeless. And if you see at second launch or Starship FT2, all of the engine worked flawlessly, and power to weight ratio was significant, meaning compared to first one, if you watch them side by side, this time it just blew off. Basically the takeoff much quick, and every milestone after that was also quick, which makes sense because at the first launch it fucked on the launch pad. I mean, not completely, but Starship were losing engine very quickly. So they started with a 3-engine loss, then it became 4-engine, and more. But second time, all of those engines working flawlessly throughout the launch window, so they were flying, and then by 52 seconds already reached max Q. And after the 2.42 minutes, it reached the hot staging part, and it was successful. If this was a rocket that was designed as a use and throw, just like any other rocket, then it was completely success. The first stage complete success. And you don't have to worry about anything else. After boost back, when booster tried to boost back burn, and it failed spectacularly, like you can see that. So what happened? It tried to reignite the engine, but it was suffering through too much of propellant losing. Is it? While we were seeing through telescope, basically, so you may think, yeah, it is. Because you know, this thing was from day one designed to return to pad, so the amount of propellant available is also huge, so you are doing something like a building a flip back. That even could cause issue. That may not have enough propellant, basically settling time, and not to mention, the interior of Starship doesn't have enough baffle, like Saturn, and that is very possible explanation. They created too much propellant sloshing, which may have lead to fluid hammering, and fluid hammering happened. So basically your pipe goes boom. And if you think, do we have any indication that happened? Yeah. The first engine failed, which most people suggesting that it may have overfed one of the turbopump that would have went boom. That would have taken out one engine. It because they did try to ignite the engine. 3 engine overworking, then one went off, then another engine that were trying to reignite, they also went off. This what is that turbopump when pushed that is happening there. And when computer detected enough the engine were gone, it turns off all systems and ignitions. We assuming this kinds of things at that time happen. Of course, it would be far more complex than this. From the side of Starship, and a Starship reached almost orbital velocity, 150 kilometers. So yeah, by all definition, this Starship actually touched space. And velocity of Starship reached 24,000 kilometers per hour. Yeah, 8,000 kilometers, but less. So next thing went not expected. So most likely computer did trigger a system, engine was shut off, and you can see that in live stream at 8 minutes 4 seconds after the liftoff, Starship also got boom. And if you try to make a relation between both of launches, so timeline was doubled in second launch, and you can say that both are the test of Starship, and it looks a simple iterative evolution. But in third launch, the Starship was just keep going more than an hour. Is far more successful than both of its predecessors. In the beginning, it's unleashing a force more than a double than a legendary Saturn V moon rocket. Without any issue like second launch, it's kept going up, mirroring the success of its predecessors. All 33 engines continue to generate thrust with no sign of onboard fire. In addition to new stalling antenna allowed us to witness onboard video during liftoff. And man, that view was amazing. It's a great detailed thing. At T plus 52 seconds, Starship breached to the max Q phase where air resistance is at its peak and potential design flaws are more likely to be exposed. 2 minutes and 42 seconds after the liftoff, our 3 super heavy boosters Raptors shut down. A moment later, the ship ignites its vacuum engine, followed by the firing of 3 atmospheric Raptors, and stage separation was completed successfully and it's executed flawlessly. As the ship continued to climb to space, the booster initiated its flip maneuver, performed by 3 engines, and that engine that remained active after main engine cut off, or MECO, the flip started of the boost back phase, which unlike in the second mission, saw the prototype successfully reignite the engine from the second wings of the Raptors. This maneuver allowed the booster to navigate back towards its designed landing site, which just had to fall down in the Gulf of Mexico. Then boosters had some issue. Raptors began set down in a circular pattern, but for some reason that sequence paused for a few seconds before the rest of the engine was turned off. The descent phase looked a bit violent. Also something we can sometimes observe during Falcon 9 landing. The ignition sequence just started 1 kilometer or 0.6 miles above the water with the firing of 1 Raptor enough. This wasn't enough close to enough thrust to slow the booster down. Instead of touching down at 8 meters, Super Heavy smashed into the Gulf of Mexico at the speed of over 300 meters or almost 1,000 feet per second. But it will still have to talk about Starship here. Things were looking much more optimistic, with all 6 Raptors continue to fire without any issue. With 3.5 minutes into the flight, the prototype crossed the international boundary of space, located 100 kilometers or 62 miles above the Earth's surface. It's the Carmel line and it's the time to shut down without getting boom like its predecessors. 24 minutes into the flight, Ship 28 hit the apogee, or the furthest point from the Earth on its flight path. It is about 224 kilometers or 145 miles. Around 10 minutes later, Ship 28 began its flip in preparation for its retrograde burn, which was supposed to move its splashdown zone closer to Madagascar. As plasma began to form around the Starship body, it was still spinning. Even at one point, re-entry, the atmosphere on its title look how powerful the Starlink constellation is. This camera was engulfed in plasma. It was reading video mind-boggling. Finally, around 65 kilometers or 44 miles, plasma was so intense to that connection and both were connection lost, which are being so interesting in the future. Elon Musk tweeted that he's going to launch 6 missions this year, which looks so fast, but we have to see in future. Starship has our future and it's flying on its wing. This is the end of video. Friends, I'm a student. Please subscribe my channel. If you like my video, comment on it and please support me. Bye bye.